Alright, hello friends, this is Wire Guitars, and if I'm honest with you guys, I can come out straight out of the gate and say it, this is going to be a rant video. And so if you don't like those kinds of things, I don't really know why you're subscribed to me, but nonetheless, click off right now. Also, I guess I should also make this a disclaimer. This is going to be a video on Friday the 13th. This is not going to be a Dota video. I will not be talking about Dota at all. And hopefully that becomes obvious as I start to talk about the video. Or as I start to talk about the game. But regardless, I want to make a video about Friday the 13th. This game just came out, I believe 4 days ago. I want to say the 26th or the 25th at like midnight or some crap like that, or maybe it was like the 26th at midnight slash technically the 27th. I'm not entirely sure of the date. But nonetheless, it came out and I've been playing it pretty much ever since. I really do enjoy this game. This game's fun as crap. Those who know me well know that I appreciate cat and mouse style asymmetrical survival horror games. Dead by Daylight was a good example. Back when I was playing StarCraft Brood War, I played a lot of custom maps. Specifically, cat and mouse was a pretty fun one. Also, like those Zealot tag games, but probably nobody other than like two people in the comment section will know what I'm talking about. So I won't digress too much about that. Or I guess I do digress, and I won't talk too much about that. But nonetheless, I really do enjoy these sorts of survival horror games. So that's why I've been playing it. It's a very fun game. That being said, there's some significant problems. I really want to stress this. There are significant problems with the game in its current state, such that I don't even feel like it should have been released at the date that it was, right? This game was released like 4 or 3 days ago, as I mentioned. I think, honestly, this game needs like a month or two of touch-up, if not even more. I'm not a game developer, so I don't exactly know how long it would take to touch up the sorts of things that I'm going to suggest, but this game is in a very broken state right now, and it honestly does perturb me that this game got released in the state that it did. I should also put this as a disclaimer, I did not pre-order this game. I do not support that sort of pre-order bullshit mentality of, forking a lot of money forward. I'm not saying, for the record, I shouldn't have ordered it the way that I did. I'm not necessarily flaming anyone that does, but I do not personally feel as though it is right to fork a bunch of money forward towards developers to develop a game just for their concept and ideas. That being said, I really do appreciate some of the concepts and ideas. For example, this game had brilliant concepts and ideas. The idea of survival horror, asymmetrical cat and mouse kind of game similar to Dead by Daylight, but you give the killer a lot of extra powers and you give the survivors a lot of extra options and goals to work towards. I think that's all great in concept and in theory, but I guess in practice currently, honestly, I mean, again, the game in its core concepts is very fun, but there's just so many ridiculous bugs that I don't even really know where to begin. That being said, let's just start from where we can go in the menu. So the game, as it stands, you can play, obviously, it's asymmetrical, so you can play two sides. You can play Jason or you can play the counselors. Currently, if you're trying to customize, there's multiple counselors, by the way, I should state that, and there's multiple Jasons as well, all with their certain perks and benefits and negatives, and that's really cool. That's a very good idea as well. That's one of the other things that I like about this game is you feel like no matter what character you're picking, you have meaningful choices in all of them. You can add even more perks to customize them even further and stuff like that, and it's really cool and all fun and dandy. Every counselor has their own unique playstyle. With that being said, currently the game is so egregiously bugged that your level, like every single time you load into the game and you're like, hey, I want to sit down and I want to play Friday the 13th for a few hours, you can't even really, like half the time it doesn't even work to load your profile. And what I mean by this is you see this CP, this is like your, I don't know, culture points from like Travian, I don't know. This is like your level up points or whatever, the crap that you get to use to roll new perks and stuff like that. The game does not save that on your Steam profile. The game doesn't save your profile's level. So if I exit out here, you'll see level 0. I have been playing this game pretty religiously for the last few days, so much so that I haven't even been playing Dota. I'm going to check on Steam right now. Game says I have 13 hours on it, so I'm quite confused as to why, if I have 13 hours on it and I'm not just sitting there during idle time just goofing around, I'm quite confused as to why my account is apparently level 0. And what I'm really trying to get at is I'm not level 0. I'm like level 14 or 15 or something like that. And the game just doesn't save my profile from game to game and stuff like that. Or it does, but it kind of doesn't, if you see what I'm getting at here, where like sometimes it does and sometimes it somewhat works, but it's always a bitch. Whenever I'm like, oh, I want to change a perk around, or oh, I want to change this around, or oh, I want to do this, or oh, I want to change my counselor just to give another thing a test go. I always have to like fiddle with it for like 5 or 10 minutes and log out of the game and then load the game back up like 2 or 3 times just to get my counselor to switch. When it should just be as easy as like 2 or 3 clicks. Same thing with the perk system, as I said earlier. It doesn't save your perk points that you can use to roll new perks. So like just to get this to work, like my Vanessa Jones has all 3 of these perk slots. I have like 15 perks already unlocked and doesn't show any of them because the game's bugged right now and for whatever reason it's not working. when you're talking about getting into the game itself, I can't really show you too much footage about that specifically. I guess I could try like load into a quick play game and just like play around and just show you some stuff. But I don't think that. I think that would kind of be. Basically, if you know the kinds of bugs that I'm going to bring up, you'll know the kinds of bugs that I'm going to bring up, and you'll probably be able to like cope with me here. Forgive me for not showing actual gameplay footage. I don't want to edit this video too much because I'm pretty bad at that kind of crap. But follow me here. So there's certain core mechanics to the game that don't work like not on a fundamental level, like they work in theory, but in practice there's just so many like buggy things to fiddle around with. What I'm talking about is, of course, things like hit detection is really, really wonky right now. Sometimes Jason will grab somebody who's like 2 or 3 feet away, and the grab will land. These sorts of things obviously can get fleshed out over time, but again, these add to my argument of why was this game released in the first place if there are such glaring issues with the game in its current standpoint. I'm not talking about balance, by the way. I should be very clear about that. My problems with this game, although balance is a concern from my end, and I do feel like there's a lot of somewhat redundant mechanics in the game, if the game claims to be perfectly balanced right now, which I'm sure it wouldn't, for the record. That is one of the reasons why I'm making this point about balance, is that I do not think this game is currently balanced, but my problems with the game, the bulk of my problems and the whole reason of this video do not stand with the balance of the game. I think that Jason, like shift grabs, I think are bullshit. Likewise, from the counselor end of the things, I feel like what are they called? Loops. Like there's a few infinite loops in the game. Not like super infinite, like not like mega ultra, like wow, like Jason will never catch you, but like really, really dumb mechanics in the game that counselors can abuse to make Jason like, you know, I'm just trying to say that like on both ends there's a lot of frustrating things that the other end has to deal with that I feel like the game will probably iron out and flesh out as the game goes on, once players start to, I guess, be able to look past the bugs that are in the game and then start to look at it for what it's supposed to be and not what a buggy mess it is. But again, at this current moment in time, my main argument with this game is the egregious amount of bugs, the abundancy, if you will, of bugs that are in the game, and just how incredibly detrimental they are. It borderlines on the unplayable level, if I'm completely honest with you, and I know that might seem pretty radical to some, but like when I can't change my counselor, when I can't change my perks in the game, when every single time I want to do these things I have to log out of like Steam in some instances and then load the game back up just to re-roll these things, I feel like the game is unplayable at that point. I feel like at that point, I may as well just be beating my head into a wall, because like I'm trying to make like a square work in a circle mold, and that's not fun. Like nobody likes to just jam that crap in, right? These should be very smooth transactions and clicks, and it's currently not that. And so again, I really just kind of, I mean, I guess I'm somewhat calling for a call to action here if you're looking for the point to this video. Like a little bit of this is kind of like, yo guys, can we get off, you know, and I'm sure they're working around the clock, for the record. Again, this isn't me necessarily calling developers lazy, or the specific developers of this game lazy, so much as it is asking why they didn't just push back the release date a little bit. I understand that seems bad. You know, the press for that, I mean, this game was already promised for like early summer of 2017, and you know it's coming out in late May to early June. So I understand where that can already be kind of like a dicey game to play. But I'm sure that so many people would have preferred that. Like just pushing it back a few weeks or even a month to have a smooth performance or a smooth gameplay experience with very minimal performance hiccups here and there. And then think of it this way as well. I'm sure, and again, I'm not a game developer on this, but I'm sure that the game is much easier to alter when there's no players on your server, and you can just change the game as needed. Like you can go in straight up into the test client, or you could load your developer mode of the game or whatever the fuck, and you can just like you can make very quick adjustments and then have like beta people like come in and play the game. I know that again, I cannot stress this enough. I'm not a game designer, but I know for a fact that every single time that new patches need to be rolled in to any game that I have ever played ever, you always need to either have like a completely different test client server, and then when you want to add the patch in, oftentimes if the game's big enough, like with Dota 2 or League of Legends, they'll do like server, they won't even really do that much server downtime. They'll just like transfer the patch over, and all it is just updating your own personal client. But sometimes people have to do server maintenance. Like in this case, I've noticed that you know, like it's usually the less populated games that are still pretty popular, but they're not as huge of titans as like Dota or League of Legends. They have to do server maintenance downtimes and stuff like that. And I mean, that's no fun. I'm not saying that those don't have a place. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and complain complain against server maintenance. I'm just saying that like this is probably going to be a performance or kind of a bug fix server maintenance that wouldn't have to be in the game if you just released the game in a state in which you felt like it was bug free. And to that note, I kind of want to end this video. I kind of want to state that the game at its current point, again, to summarize this entire video, is somewhat of an unplayable mess. I will. That being said, I will continue to play it, and I'll probably continue pushing off Dota and streaming Dota in favor of playing this game by myself and with a few friends here and there, because I do enjoy the game that much. But it's really hard to even say that I'm playing the game at its current state, just because I'm fighting against so many mechanics of the game itself, and not in a good way, if you catch my drift. There's some times where it's like, oh yeah, you're playing a puzzle game or whatever, so it only makes sense that you're trying to make a square fit into a circle mold, and that's fine and dandy in those sorts of scenarios. In this case, the game is so much different from it's supposed to be player versus player, essentially, right? I don't want to fight the game when I'm already fighting another player, and that's kind of what it feels like. And so with that point, I'll just leave off, and yeah, hopefully somebody learned something from this video, or whatever.